If you're in the software world, there's this dream we all chase. You write some code, it gets tested instantly, and you can release it feeling totally confident. But let's be real, the reality usually involves a whole lot of frustrating roadblocks. Today, we're going to dig into how cloud services are pretty much blowing up that old reality and changing the game.
So let's just start with a question that I think hits a little too close to home for a lot of us. How much of your team's day, of their brainpower, is spent not on creating amazing features, but on setting up, patching, and just wrestling with the very servers you need to test those features on?
And this slide, this just lays it all out, doesn't it? It's the core battle. Over on the left, you've got the old way. Teams are literally bogged down in the nuts and bolts of managing infrastructure. But on the right, that's the new reality we're aiming for. A world where teams are free to focus on what they were actually hired to do, build incredible, high-quality software. This is way more than a tech upgrade. It's a huge shift in mindset, and it's really the heart of what we're talking about today.
Okay, so let's get into the first big problem. Your team needs a place, a sandbox, to run all its automated tests. And the traditional way to do that, you got to buy physical servers. We're talking big upfront costs, waiting forever for them to arrive and get set up, and you're stuck with a fixed amount of power that you can't just change on the fly.
So, how do we get around this whole compute problem? Well, this is where our first hero from AWS steps onto the scene, Amazon EC2. It's all about getting the computing power you need exactly when you need it and not a moment sooner.
So what is EC2? Well, the fancy name is Elastic Compute Cloud, but here's the deal. It's basically like having a massive virtual data center just waiting for your command. Instead of waiting weeks for a physical box to show up, you can launch a virtual server, what AWS calls an instance, in literally minutes.
And this is where the real magic happens for testing. Think about it. You need to run a giant resource-hungry test suite? Fine. Spin up 100 powerful servers. An hour later, you're done? Just shut them all down. It gives you incredible speed, total flexibility, and, this is the best part, you only pay for the seconds or minutes those servers were actually running. It's a total game changer.
Awesome. So your tests are finally running smoothly. But now what? Every single test run creates a mountain of data. We're talking logs, screenshots of failures, detailed reports, and way too often, all that valuable stuff ends up scattered across a bunch of different machines. It becomes a total nightmare to find anything, let alone share it with the team.
Right, so to fix that digital mess, we have Amazon S3. And the best way to think about this isn't as a hard drive. It's more like, a bottomless, super secure filing cabinet that just happens to live in the cloud.
With S3, you get this one central spot for everything, a single source of truth. Your whole automated pipeline can just dump all the reports, logs, and screenshots there automatically. Then anyone on the team from anywhere can go grab what they need. You never have to ask, hey, which server has the log file from last night's build again?
Okay, so we've got our compute figured out, and we have a place to store everything, but what actually kicks off the tests? The goal is to run them automatically every time a developer commits new code. The old way meant having a dedicated server that did nothing but sit there and watch for changes. It just feels so inefficient.
And this is where things get really cool. We start talking about serverless computing, and that brings us to AWS Lambda. The idea is actually pretty brilliant and simple. Instead of paying for a server to sit around idle just waiting for something to happen, what if you could just have your code run in response to an event? No servers to manage at all.
So let's just walk through this step by step. It's super elegant. A developer pushes some code to the repository. Bam! That's the event. That event instantly triggers a Lambda function. Inside that function is just a little bit of code that kicks off your entire test suite. And when the tests finish, the results get neatly stored back in S3. It's completely automated, totally hands-off, and you're not paying for a single idle server. All right, let's tackle the final boss of testing headaches. And it's a big one, databases. So many apps need a database to work, which means your tests need a database too. But the chore of setting them up, patching them, backing them up, just for a temporary test environment, it's a huge repetitive time sink. And to solve this, we've got Amazon RDS, which stands for Relational Database Service. Its entire job really is to take all that boring, tedious database administration work and just do it for you. It lets your team get back to building things. This table says everything you need to know, right? On the left, the old way. Complex, manual, and painful every step of the way. But then, you look at RDS. You can spin up a fully managed, patched, and backed up database for your tests with just a few clicks.
and make sure your tests always have a clean, reliable database to work with without all the headaches.
So when you put all these pieces together, EC2 for your compute, S3 for your files, Lambda for the triggers, and RDS for your databases, something really powerful starts to happen. Your team's entire focus can shift. You go from constantly fighting infrastructure fires to proactively building quality into your product from the very start. The whole culture changes when you remove that friction.
And it all comes down to this. This quote from the source material really just hits the nail on the head. By letting AWS handle all that underlying infrastructure, you free up your engineers to do what they're truly great at: designing smarter tests, catching bugs earlier, and ultimately building a much better product.
You see, this whole shift isn't just about making testing a little faster or a bit cheaper. It opens up brand new possibilities. So we'll leave you with this question to chew on. When all the tedious work of managing infrastructure just disappears and becomes invisible, what's the next great leap forward? What's the next frontier for software quality?